Sorry, part of me fell out. My body's changing at an alarming rate.
Please stand by for an important message from your friend Adam.
Hello, friends. Adam here. Beth and I are off the rest of the month. We're not leaving you alone, though. Don't worry. We've left this little snack of a mini-sode here just in case your ears get hungry. We're going to resume recording new episodes in July on schedule. In addition to that little PSA, I'm also recording this after news hit that Adam West has died. Adam West was the greatest. He had a playfulness and subdued eccentricity that was so unique that it left him typecast, and he ended up taking work in movies like Zombie Nightmare. Now, most actors would be totally embittered by that experience, and if West was, he never showed it. Even when Mystery Science Theater 3000 did Zombie Nightmare, West returned the favor by hosting the 1994 Turkey Day Marathon of the show. He was so gracious to his fans, legendarily so, and many of his fans would later work with him. This resulted in his incredible cameos in The Simpsons and News Radio. I tweeted a few recommendations after news of West's death, and we'll have links in the show notes. I'd like to add Return of the Cape Crusaders, an animated film released last year, where West's Batman is poisoned into becoming the grim and gritty version of the character that's been invoked for the last 30 years, to that list of recommendations. In my rush to tweet, I didn't even recommend any of the Batman episodes with Burgess Meredith, Vincent Price, or that two-parter where John Astin plays the Riddler. A lot of people are going to focus on the Batman stuff for West's eulogy, understandably so. However, I want to make something clear. Batman did not make Adam West cool. It was cool to like Batman because he was played by Adam West. Despite a long life and a full career, I think a lot of us realized that we weren't ready to let Adam West go this weekend. We're all going to miss him. I just wanted to say a few words because Adam West really meant something to me. And we can now resume our mini-sode already in progress. It starts off very heavily about Mystery Science Theater 3000 before turning into a 10-hour seminar on Max Headroom. After that, new episodes in July, we promise. But for now, here's the MST3K Doctor Who crossover you never wanted.
Oh, actually, I just want to ask you, and this can all be cut out, but I'm curious. Beth, have you ever seen, it was the extra that was included when Rhino bungled the DVD release of Godzilla vs. Megalon. They released it, but they never cleared the rights. And as an extra, so they had to replace that DVD with I think it was the giant Gila monster. Oh. Which is, as I recall, not like an amazing episode, but like Joel and Frank and Trace made a brand new segment, which was to instruct viewers on how to replace their DVD successfully. Did you see that?
I did not. I have not bought a lot of the Rhino tapes, and that's for some reason just didn't get on my radar. It sounds kind of amazing.
It is great. I saw it for the first time. Like, I was actually at Chris's place. It's pretty funny. Everyone's far more doughier because it's them now. So Trace's hair, they're kind of like fighting male pattern baldness. Frank has grown up to be a real boy. That's the way I'll put that.
The Dave Foley effect.
Yes, everyone's gone a little Foley, but they all look right. They all look right. It's not disarming, but it's great and it's pretty unique because it's yet another voice change because everyone's back except for, like, they didn't put J. Elvis Weinstein to do Tom, and they didn't get Kevin Murphy because I guess the ironclad contracts of riff tracks would just be too much to bear. So it's actually Frank doing Tom Servo.
And how's that?
It's better than anyone else.
That would have been my suspicion. I think Frank was great as TV's Frank, but there was a real missed opportunity not getting him behind one of the bots.
Yeah. Like, he has, like, incredible chemistry with Trace already, and he, I didn't notice, like, I remember kind of pondering, it's like, that doesn't sound like Kevin, but it doesn't sound like J. Elvis Weinstein, so who is it? And there's a moment, and I guess I bring it up because this is one of the few times we see Tom actually, like, float. there's this great effect where they like pick him up on a string, and I guess they just kind of digitally erase like the rod to kind of like move him around. Or to move the beak. But yeah, there was a moment where it was kind of a giveaway that it was Frank, because as he was like hovering away to get the trash can that you're supposed to throw the DVD in, you just hear the unmistakable tones of TV's Frank going, "Sooner or later, love is gonna get you," and he just hovers out of frame.
I don't know how I'd feel about seeing Tom Servo float. That's kind of like with the new Doctor Who, where suddenly the Daleks can float up the stairs, which was once their like greatest enemy.
That's just it. I now have to push my metaphorical glasses up. For you see, in 1988's Remembrance of the Daleks, part of the original series, Seventh Doctor Sylvester McCoy suggests that he and Companion Ace run up some stairs, but then a Dalek floats upstairs for the very first time.
Oh, so it was actually like already happened before the reboot with Chris Eccleston. Is that his name?
Eccleston.
Eccleston.
The Ecclesteins are like a lovely family that I tend to visit on the holidays.
That was like a big thing.
Yeah. I think what had happened is that like they had tried to like make floating Daleks every time, and it had always been too expensive, because one of the things I love about like what little Doctor Who knowledge I have is that around the late 80s, so roughly around the time Next Gen started airing, an entire year of Doctor Who cost as much as an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Which were not cheap.
No, but that's still kind of amazing. It's like, oh, well, what do you do with this? We make an hour of television. It's like, with the same amount of money, we make 13 half hours.
Incredible. Well, so we have our new Tom Servo Dalek floating around.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we'll ever see him again, or if it was just limited to the extra.
Well, I'm wondering, like, I don't know how the reboot is going to like handle the bot stuff, because I remember they were like a lot more active in the movie. In the movie, you do see like Tom Servo like he's like hovers down some stairs because he follows Mike when I think we first see him, right?
Oh, that's right. But it's a very like a subtle float, we'll say.
Yeah, it's you could really easily tell how they achieve that effect. Like, it's not. I don't think there's an HBO movie magic explaining how they got Tom Servo down in a ladder.
There isn't like puff effects going underneath him so that we know that it's anti-grav.
What we had to do is we had to build a tiny ladder to scale. Then we built a 30-foot Tom Servo that we gently lowered on a series of pulleys. I mean, now that we've gotten Trace, it's going to take someone really important to write in. Fingers crossed for Whoopi Goldberg.
Oh man, if we get Whoopi, I think we'll have to just start a Whoopi cast.
Yeah. It can be based solely on Theodore Rex. We could be like the Worst Idea podcast where we just watch Theodore Rex every week.
Or, decide which of Guinan's hats we thought was the most fetching.
I got a question for you, Beth. Given Guinan's many, many mushroom hats, why was she not on the short list to play Toad in the Super Mario Brothers movie?
There's a lot of casting decisions that I think we need to talk about with respect to that movie. Actually, no, I changed my mind. The casting was pretty much the only thing they did properly in that movie.
Yeah, I like, barring finding a taller, skinnier Bob Hoskins to play Luigi, it's like, you know what? That was actually pretty perfect all around.
Yeah. It's just the everything else that was the problem.
Yeah, this is why you never trust a feature-length film to the creators of Max Headroom, as it turns out.
Which I've never seen. Should I?
Oh, man. Yes and no. It breaks my heart to say no. But Max Headroom is totally a product of its time, and it really was just a gimmick to sell music videos. And so you have Matt Frewer, Canadian actor extraordinaire, wearing a latex mask pretending to be a computer man.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, he was just riffing on music videos and, like, making jokes about pop culture between music videos. And it was popular enough, or an interesting enough idea, that when Channel 4, because it started off as just like a music video program on like the fourth channel in the UK, and BBC competitor Channel 4, that they decided to commission the creators to make a cyberpunk TV movie that explains Max Headroom, the music video DJ's origins.
That sounds very 80s.
Yeah. This is crazy. I didn't think we'd get into Max Headroom, but now we're getting into it. The movie is basically the story of a crusading reporter who, when he uncovers a conspiracy by TV network executives, because in the future, TV network execs kind of rule the state. You know what? Forget everything I said. Please watch Max Headroom. Anyway, they try to prevent him from breaking a story in which split-second ads called blipverts have the unexpected side effect of causing people's heads to explode.
Okay.
Yep, and he's knocked unconscious by a sign that says "maximum headroom," and they try to upload his consciousness into a computer so that they could have a reporter that they can control and assume that the people wouldn't notice the difference between real-life Matt Frewer and Matt Frewer in a latex mask behind what appears to be a neon garage door opening and closing. And that was just supposed to be a one-off movie. It went over so well that they made it into a TV series. But Max Headroom had two, not counting the music videos he was hosting, he had two TV series on at the same time, more or less. So you have an ABC American TV show that's based on that pilot, and it stars Matt Frewer and it stars Jeffrey Tambor from The Larry Sanders Show and Arrested Development.
Whoa.
Yeah, and half of it is pretty good, and half of it is totally terrible. There's like 2 seasons. There's only like 10 episodes. Surprise, surprise, Shout Factory put it out.
Good job, Shout Factory.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty fun. It's pretty dated in places, but they kind of make the best out of an unusual concept. And sadly, the show got canceled pretty early into its second season, which means that the Christmas episode written by George R.R. Martin was never filmed.
You're kidding me.
Yeah, there was a thing called Xmas Story, which involved like an all-out war at Christmas time that Martin had scripted, and I think the script is still floating around there somewhere. And I don't know, Max Headroom Saves Christmas, I guess.
Well, maybe once he's done writing the Game of Thrones series, you can get back to that.
Yeah, finally complete his Max Headroom novels. And also, while that series was on the air, there was a talk show called the Original Max Talking Headroom Show. Yes, that aired on Cinemax, and it was basically him interviewing celebrities.
Is this like Space Ghost before Space Ghost?
Yes, but imagine if Space Ghost was an hour instead of 11 minutes.
Oh no, that's way too long.
Yeah, that joke got stretched out mighty thin. So Max Headroom kind of burned twice as bright, but half as long, because 1987, 88, inescapable. But around 1989, 1990, the only trace of him was like new Coke ads.
New Coke ads.
Yeah, he was the one who was like showing up to kids in the form of a moving television, and would tell them to catch the wave. New Coke is better. And then he referred to the kids who enjoyed their delicious new Cokes as Cokeologists.
From the sounds of it, the irony was that the TV executives did end up destroying Max Headroom in the end.
It's true. It's true. Maybe, and you know what? What is a blipvert? If not, I don't know, a promoted tweet. No one's heads exploded so far.
That we know of.
Yeah, that's true. It's very possible that, I don't know, the folks at Twitter and Tom from MySpace are covering that one up. But the final tale of Max Headroom is this. Are you familiar with the Max Headroom incident?
Yes, but you'll have to remind me of what happened there.
Okay. This is a story that's kind of close to my heart because A, it's super weird and kind of frightening. And B, I saw part of it when it happened.
You did. So it was some kind of pirate station basically took over TV for a while, right?
Yeah. What happened was during random moments in like a PBS broadcast, like it was often found that like people could interrupt a signal very easily. And so some people were doing this from home. Like one guy actually got charged because he took over HBO signal in their like nascent days.
but this guy, yeah, he interrupted like the HBO signal to like put up a personal message. So it looked like just standard like electronic scrolling text. And so people were doing stuff like that if they had like a tech mind for it. But no one did what this guy did in the early 90s or late 80s, I forget. But a fella had a Max Headroom mask and actually rigged up like what appears to be like a garage door opening and closing to kind of recreate the look of Max Headroom. He rants very incoherently because like the audio's not perfect. Like the audio is really, really high pitched and distorted, which makes the whole thing like all the creepier. He rants about things being canceled, including his own show. He hums the theme to a TV series called Clutch Cargo, which suggests that perhaps this guy is English. It then cuts to his bare naked ass being slapped by an unseen female assistant, and then it very quickly returned to the episode of Doctor Who that PBS was showing.
Oh, so he had accomplices.
Yeah, there's at least 2 people in on this Max Headroom conspiracy, and unlike, I say conspiracy like it's the guy from the X-Files smoking behind it, but no one's ever caught this guy. No one's ever found out who did the Max Headroom prank. And so he's still out there, potentially trying to get in on, I don't know, PBS, I guess, to interrupt their telethon. But there were several, like, mini interruptions, not unlike those Blipfords, I guess, throughout different programs. So, like, people have, like, VHS recordings of not only, like, the full thing for, like, whoever was, like, taping Doctor Who that day, I guess. Mm-hmm. But like little tiny interruptions were happening. And I know that I saw one because it happened when my grandma was watching the Lawrence Welk show.
Oh, was she okay?
Oh, she was okay. Because it was just like, it was not that full weird sexual thing. It was just a brief moment. But it was brief enough for me to, as a child, go, oh, cool, it's Max Headroom. I guess they're bringing him back. Like, I thought it was a commercial.
You were watching it with her?
Yeah, I was just around because, you know, you visit your grandparents and they're watching grandparents TV, which is boring. Mm-hmm. But I would still stay with my grandma and play with the cats. And so that was on in the background. And when the TV started flickering, I looked up, saw Max Headroom's face, and then it went back to Lawrence Welk. And I thought I must have like missed a commercial or missed part of a commercial.
Or you hallucinated it.
Yeah, it's certainly. I think that's what the rest of America felt.
Just to turn this all around, the first time I saw the commercial for the Super Mario Brothers movie, mm-hmm. I thought I had hallucinated it because I was all alone, and then nobody made reference to it for another 6 months. Like it was like a really early preview, and then it never showed again. And so I actually thought after a while, well, I must have hallucinated it.
Well, that's kind of the cool thing about what it was like to kind of like catch media in a time when like home video releases were reserved only for special things, and there was stuff that could air only once and be forgotten. Not that I want to go back to that era, but there was something kind of like amazing about not knowing if this was a dream when you were seeing something. You almost had to get confirmation from someone else. Did you also see this weird thing that aired?
Sorry, I just remembered another dinosaur movie. The Super Mario Brothers movie.
Yes. Super Mario Brothers, the movie. Did you see that in theaters by any chance?
No, but it's I did really look forward to that movie, and my response was mixed.
Yeah, to say the least. I will say, and I think everybody can say this, is that if you're going to cast someone to play Super Mario, you could not do better than like Bob Hoskins.
Exactly.
But it's like, yeah, just get him to wear a fake mustache and ask him to do his Eddie Valiant voice from Who Framed Roger Rabbit again, and he's perfect. And the weirdly Trumpish Dennis Hopper as King Koopa is also weirdly perfect. But that movie, and I think these movies came out at the same time. Do you remember, Beth, when the first time you realized, because like when you're a kid and you see movies, you're just excited and happy. Yay, movies. All movies are good. But there comes a point in which you realize, oh, wait, movies can be not entertaining and thus bad. When was that realization for you? How early on did that happen, and what movie was it? Because Super Mario was key to me.
Yeah, I think it was for me too. Honestly, I had some pretty negative reactions to movies early on. I did not like The Little Mermaid. I was like, I was like 7 when that came out, and I didn't buy it.
I would love to know why.
I found Ursula very scary, and there's at one point where she's being transformed, when Ariel's being transformed into a human, and her fins rip apart and turn into human legs, and I found that really grotesque, and I'm just like, Disney, no. I actually thought this isn't appropriate for me.
Oh wow. I as a kid, I liked The Little Mermaid, and I think we all saw like Disney movies like Beauty and the Beast and whatnot growing up. But I liked The Little Mermaid, and what you're describing, Ursula and the scene where she transforms, were the parts I loved because they were strange and unpleasant and horrific. And Ursula could not be better unless it was like in canon that she was actually a drag queen and is actually like divine. That's the only way the movie would be better. It'd be like, P.S. Ursula's a man. That would be the only way. But because I remember as a kid being like, I don't care for this Sebastian and Flounder characters. I don't like them. More weirdness, please. More unpleasantness. I like this weird Bette Midler singing she creature. That's what I want. The first time I ever saw something that was like terrible, and I think I saw this in the same week in theaters in Newfoundland, because I think they both came out at the same time, but sometimes the memory cheats. But I think in one weekend, possibly even the same day, I saw Super Mario Brothers the movie, which is like, I don't think you can understand what that's like unless you lived through this. Unless you were like a little kid who loved Nintendo games and enjoyed Nintendo to the point that you actually thought The Wizard was a good movie, in which, that kid is a Mario champion and is taken to a Mario competition with Fred Savage. But I actually thought that was going to be good as a kid. I actually thought, oh, this will be great. From the creators of Max Headroom, I actually said as a kid to my friends, I was like, this is going to be so cool. And even my friends were like, who's Max Headroom? I was like, he's that guy from the Coke commercials and the short-lived series of the same name. But I saw that movie, and it was jaw-droppingly terrible. But I thought, oh, the next movie we're going to watch in theaters that my family took me to. And I have a memory that this was the same day. We went to see Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, where the Turtles go back in time to feudal Japan and preach nonviolence.
I like that movie.
What is wrong with you? You don't like the best parts of Little Mermaid, and you like the worst of the Ninja Turtles movies.
It was maybe just familiarity. We had a copy of it, and so we just watched it a lot. And you just get to sit and live with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's a very slow paced movie, and they just hang out a lot and make jokes. I kind of like that.
Yeah, there's not enough movies about well-trained amphibious ninjas where they just hang. I do think that having a movie on VHS kind of automatically made you like it. I think almost just through like watching, because like as a kid you'll just put a movie on, or you're more likely your parents or your grandparents will just put a movie on to keep you busy. And I think that's why I have an inexplicable fondness for Problem Child 1 and 2. Those movies are terrible. Those movies are terrible. They have no redeeming features. But they were one of those two movies were among the VHSs that my grandparents owned. So whenever I was over at my maternal grandparents' house, I had the choice of Problem Child 1, Problem Child 2, or Ghost. And the only part of Ghost I like is when Vincent Schiavelli shows up as a homeless ghost and freaks out. That's the only good part of the movie. So I watch Problem Child 1 and 2 a lot, despite the fact that most of the movie is jokes about, I don't know, being hit in the balls and having diarrhea.
Yeah, a lot of them are completely unafraid of humans, and they will try to get inside your house because they know there's stuff in there.
Oh. And even in the cartoon series, the raccoons, I actually always rooted for Cyril Sneer.
Oh, you're on Cyril Sneer's side?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I have like a real affection for raccoons, is I grew up with the series The Raccoons. I don't know how prevalent it was in the States, but in Canada, it was run all the time, and it was one of the few things that Canada did like as original content, and I loved it, and I still have a soft spot for raccoons as a result, but also because of their inclusion in Grey Gardens, the documentary. Do you remember? Have you seen that documentary?
No. I'm not sure if I have.
Oh man, well you should. It's a classic. It's a classic documentary made in the 70s about Big and Little Edie, who are high class, like they were related to Jackie Kennedy level of rich people, and they're the American aristocracy. And Big Edie, who is the mother, her husband left her, and nobody took care of them, and they had never been, they had never learned to do anything by themselves. So when the documentarians come across them, they're living in absolute abject poverty because they just don't know how to look after themselves. And but they still have all of this high breeding. So they little Edie, who's about 50 at the time, gets herself all dressed up and flirts with the men who are doing the documentary. She's still trying to snag herself a husband, and one of the first shots is little Edie goes up to the attic, and there's all these raccoons up there, and she just dumps like a pile of bread for them to eat because they're like her pets. And as the movie goes on, and you see just how bad things have gotten, you just the camera pans over, and one of the raccoons is just eating the house now. Like it's just eating holes into the house. You should absolutely see that movie.
Yeah. No, I've made a note of that. I'll definitely pick that up. Raccoons, nature's wonder or most terrifying scavenger of all. You be the judge. Right in.
You definitely should watch Grey Gardens. A movie which has since inspired a musical and a Rufus Wainwright song.
Okay, weird. All right, I've made a note.
The Rufus Wainwright song is also pretty good. I'm not a big fan of the Rufus, but the Grey Gardens one, that's some solid Rufusing right there.
Did you ever think he was tempted to record an album called Raise the Rufus?
He's not dead yet, so.
I mean, the time will come when that tense is appropriate.
But it's funny you mentioned like just the eerie, like I've seen that kid before. I just remember when I was growing up, and I was still trying to figure out how TV and movies worked, and I just kept seeing this very familiar face in pretty much, it seemed like every single movie or TV show that I encountered, or at least it seemed like I could expect to see him. And then I figured out later that it was Fred Savage. Fred Savage was in everything.
And I think that could get extra confusing because I don't know if I have Savage blindness, but I could not tell him or his brother apart.
Oh, right. There's two of them.
Yeah, which definitely like added to things. But yeah, you had one Savage in the Wonder Years, possibly that same Savage in both Little Monsters and The Wizard.
And then there was Flight of the Navigator,
which is a movie I barely remember.
It's actually, well, I haven't seen it in decades, but I found it really compelling as a kid.
Yeah.
Especially like he comes back to his house, but it's like 10 years in the future, and his house is all different, and the people in it are not the same. And just that feeling of what that would be like for a kid is just so potent, like, where's my mom? They're dead now.
That sounds like that. Remember that one strip, that one series of strip of Garfield where he's alone in the house and the house is abandoned and like it's implied that like John and Odie have moved or died, so it's just Garfield starving in a house.
Yeah, I do remember that.
That's what that sounds like.
It turns out Jim Davis has secret depths.
Yeah. Who knew that like the dark heart of Jim Davis bred such a wild imagination? No, I'm sometimes curious because one thing I do like, and I suppose you get this with the young adult novels, I should say, youth novels. The youths like to read outside of the rec center. But I remember having a fondness for a movie that I can barely remember about a robot boy, and it was called Daryl, but Daryl was an acronym for something.
Of course. Daring,
agile, robot, youth, lover. Wait, no, that's terrible.
Again with the sex robots.
Yeah. I guess that's what that's all you'd want a robot for, I guess. That's like either your first or second thing. It's like, oh, can you build a car? Excellent. What else can you do? After dark.
You're making me look at Rosie from the Jetsons in an entirely different way now.
Well, you know what? That would make sense because imagine this, Beth. Now, this is a thought experiment, but go with me here.
All right. Reluctantly.
Yeah. Take my hand as though we are going to watch Grandma's house and follow me. So, what if? Just what if? So, of course, you've got Jane, his wife. That's the George Jetson story, or at least part of it. But with Rosie the robot, you have a very different kind of lady and a very different shape of lady. And maybe that's how George Jetson wants it. Maybe George Jetson is like, all right, I love having, this is the perfect face for my marriage. I have this, beautiful lady who's very like kind of skinny and curvy but what I really crave is like a BBW robot. That's what I want for all my filthiest desires. And it would help. It would help too. If she had kind of like a working class accent, like kind of an almost Bronxy sort of thing, because I'm into that. I wouldn't want that in my marriage. What would people think of me? I need to keep up class appearances. I mean, Jane, she practically speaks in the American equivalent of received pronunciation, but Rosie is what really gets me. Because you know what? We never had an in-depth sex scene in any of the Jetsons episodes or features. So who's to say my theory is wrong? Hanna-Barbera, right in.
We'll see if Chris includes that in the final cut.
It won't be.
There. If you've been affected by the issues on this bonus episode, get in touch with us. Email us at info@itsjustashow. Visit our website at itsjustashow.com. Or we're on Twitter at itisjustashow. We'd love to hear from you. And you can find show notes at itsjustashow.com/episode/7B. Beth and Adam will be back soon to discuss Season 1, Episode 1, The Crawling Eye. I've been a disembodied voice. Take it away, Theme Squad.
Oh, right, there's two of them.